It's Nolan. Now, before we get started, make sure y'all hitting that like button. Make sure y'all sharing it on your respective platforms. Let somebody know what we're doing today. Now, let's get into the show. The double entendre to entertain the ladies. Clean as a new Mercedes. I see you watching me. Eyes in the back of my head. Cinematography, logically, rappers can't compete. I say your flyers are no comply that they can't complete. They're so whack, it baffles me. 15, I was on some fan shit. Now I'm writing rhymes you can't decipher like it's Sanskrit. Hitting pressure points, my flow is tantric. Niggas got a lot of nerve. Revenge of the nerd, embarking on a private purge. I'm finna kill shit, presidential, y'all sentimental. My pen strikes sharp as a blade, I'm playing tension. Beneficial to my residential. Clean up the block like Pac spotting some unofficial. This verse is overly intricate. Opposing my penmanship, bitch, I'm closing your membership. I was chosen from syndicates, young iconoclast. Did numbers in economics class. Went to school and started punching niggas in drama class. Want the gunplay? It's a Bible up on the dash. Catch him on the one way, leave his pockets up on the grass. Educated by buckshot at the bus stop. Black kids learn to rock a vest instead of sunblock. My lil homie punk rock define black excellence. Got a scholarship, one and done, it's like black presidents. I'm exceeding my measurements. Call me young Gohan. Niggas want the green with the bread, we making croutons. Started out rapping, I was small as Jimmy Neutron. Jimmy Buckets, I'm working hard without the shoe line. Student loan niggas still calling my homies. I skipped college, I was following Kobe. Came through with a new Letterman, looking fresher than Axel Foley. My streets full of rage, I'm maxing, you acting phony. What's going on, beautiful people? It's the kid J Nolan here. Welcome back to another episode of Inside the Industry, your number one source for music, entertainment, commentary, and breakdowns. Man, what a fucking bizarre day it is. So we got Drake and Aiden Ross being sued alongside with Stake by people gambling in Missouri who lost money and for false illegal gambling practices. In the very same day, we have Camron suing J. Cole. God damn, man. What the fuck, man? It's like everybody finna get hit with a lawsuit. You get a lawsuit, you get a lawsuit, you get a lawsuit, you get a lawsuit, bitch. You better have a fucking closet full of suits. Cause your ass going to court soon. Okay? Now Camron is suing J. Cole over the song Ready, which appeared on Might Delete Later that came out last year. Now, apparently, this was a record that was recorded in 2022 around the time that J. Cole released the Off Season. Y'all remember when Camron was featured on the intro of the Off Season? And then they ran it back and had another collab on Might Delete Later. Well, Camron is saying he hasn't been properly compensated for his appearance on Ready from Might Delete Later. All right? And he says that the song was recorded in 2022, so this was around the same time that the first collab happened. It's now 2025, and he's looking around like, what the fuck am I supposed to do? Now, clearly, J. Cole and Camron are not the best of friends, so he like, hey, I ain't got time to wait on IOUs, nigga. You gonna have to give me mine in a court of law. This could also just be pressure for a settlement out of court, but I'm going to pull it up nonetheless. Thankfully, this is a very, very short document. It's only 7 pages, so it's not too much to get through. But again, fucking bizarre. All right. So this has been filed in the United States District Court for the Southern District of New York. So this is a federal complaint. Cameron Giles, plaintiff versus Jermaine Lamar Cole, professionally known as J. Cole, Cole World Inc., which is J. Cole's company, and UMG. Okay. Cameron Giles, plaintiff by his attorneys as and for his complaint against Jermaine Lamar Cole, Cole World Inc., and Universal Music Group, and together with Cole and Cole World, herein alleges as follows. Nature of action. Plaintiff, professionally known as Camron, is a world-renowned rapper and entrepreneur. Plaintiff brings this action for a declaration that he is a co-author of the sound recording of the song Ready 24. And remember, this is a remake from I'm Ready, which appeared on Diplomatic Immunity. One of my favorite Diplomat songs, one of my favorite appearances from Joel Santana. This song single-handedly had me wearing Dipset shirts, the biggest jeans I could find. I wasn't ready to do the bandana though. You know what I'm saying? There was too many bandanas in my neighborhood. You know, I just wasn't trying to. I wasn't trying to give nobody the wrong idea. But in or about December 2021, Plaintiff agreed with Cole to contribute lyrics to a verse in the composition of Ready 24, which Plaintiff understood he and Cole would subsequently record and defendant would release on a future album subject to certain specified conditions. Plaintiff's contribution to the composition was expressly conditioned on Plaintiff having final approval over the release of the composition or any sound recording embodying the composition, appropriate credit on the composition and subsequent sound recording, and Cole collaborating with Plaintiff on a future project. That's interesting. So number one, Cam would have to approve it, which makes sense because he would have to clear not only his appearance, but also he would have to play a role in clearing the sample. But the promise of collaborating on a future project sounds very interesting. So maybe Cole was supposed to produce something for Cam or give him a feature in return on one of Camron's songs. We'll see. Subject to the above conditions, Cole agreed to collaborate on a future recording that Plaintiff would release as a single or appear on Plaintiff's podcast. Okay, so he was supposed to get on a song with Cam or come on It Is What It Is. Right? Now, with that being stated, It Is What It Is has only been around for about 2 years. So that would indicate that they've been in contact and that J. Cole gave him his word that once the show became what it is, he would come through, which we've seen no such deliverance, right? Of his presence on that show. Plaintiff wrote the lyrics for the composition in Plaintiff, and Cole recorded the sound recording embodying the composition in or about June 2022 in New York City. All right. Now, just like the original I'm Ready, Camron appears on the song with a verse. 2 years later, with Cole having refused to honor his agreement to collaborate with Plaintiff on either a single or on the podcast, which you could have done either, Cole. You could have sent that nigga a beat, you know, and maybe he would have felt compelled. Send him a beat with a fucking hook on it. Send him a beat with a 16 on it. I mean, they talk about how good this goddamn this fall off is. We done seen Dreamville niggas come out and say how good the album sounds. I'm sure you got some throwaways that you could have sent his way. Let's just be clear. You know, I know that may not be the standard practice of the music industry, and it's kind of like y'all left it open-ended, something that you could make good on at any time. And let's be clear, Camron has come out and said in as recent as within the last 2 to 3 months that him putting out music is not beneficial to his life. Him releasing an album is not beneficial to his life. So maybe Cole was like, shit, is Cam really serious about releasing music? But nonetheless, you gave him your word, and you're supposed to honor that. And again, you could have gave him a throwaway. You could have gave him a beat that you was going to give to Boss, because that shit wasn't going to do nothing anyway. No disrespect to Boss, but we see what it is. Let me continue. 2 years later, with Cole having refused to honor his agreement to collaborate with Plaintiff on either a single or on the podcast, defendants nevertheless released the sound recording, which embodied the composition on the album Might Delete Later. Okay? So, he didn't hold his end up, but he released the record on Might Delete Later, and I'm sure Cam probably didn't know all that much about Might Delete Later before it dropped. The composition of Ready 24 has been registered in the United States Copyright Office by Cole, and Plaintiff is identified as a co-author because he wrote his part and appeared on the record. Plaintiff brings this action for declaratory judgment that the sound recording is also a joint work under the Copyright Act. And a joint work is where you collaborate with someone else and then you file it with the Copyright Office through copyright.gov. I've had to do this with some of my collaborators in the past. Okay? So, although it was registered, he's identified as a co-author. He says he should have been a co-owner. That's what Camron is saying. Now, to be clear, I don't know if Cam is supposed to be a co-owner because that would mean that he has ownership in not only the writing, which is the publishing portion of the song, but he would also have ownership in the master. And typically, feature artists don't have ownership in the master. But one of his songs is sampled in the master. So actually, I take that back. He would be an owner in the master because Camron was the one who presented the Diplomats. It was under him. I would love to know some more specifics about that Diplomat album to know who all of the owners are. But I believe that was part of Cam's contract because Jewels was not signed to Rockefeller. Jim Jones was not signed to Rockefeller. Cam was the only one signed to Rockefeller, and that album came out under Rockefeller Def Jam. So, yeah, he would be an owner in the master because of the sample. Jurisdiction and venue, we don't got to get to that part. We know that he co-wrote Blase Blah. Plaintiff is a world-renowned rapper and entrepreneur. Plaintiff also hosts the podcast It Is What It Is. Plaintiff is a resident of the state of Nevada and regularly conducts business in the state of New York. We also know he's from New York. Upon information and belief, defendant Cole resides in New York. I don't think Cole lives in New York, but he has probably property out there or offices at bare minimum. Cole is also a world-renowned rapper who regularly transacts business in the state of New York and within his district. Upon information and belief, defendant Cole World is a limited liability company organized under the laws of the state of New York. Cole World is defendant Cole's music publishing entity. Upon information and belief, defendant UMG is a Delaware corporation, blase blah. So here we get to the final specifics here, okay? All right, so in or about May 2021, this is their original agreement. Plaintiff agreed to perform on Cole's song titled 95 South, which was on the off-season. The intro song. Plaintiff contributed his vocals to the sound recording of 95 South. And remember, on 95 South, Cam was just talking, right? The off-season was then released in May of 2021. So it sounds like that was probably the last or one of the last songs contributed to the project because it was immediately put out. In or about December 2021, Cole asked Plaintiff to create a musical composition and sound recording embodying the musical composition with Cole for a future album that Cole was recording. Okay, so Cam wanted to be on another Cole album? Or was this improperly written? Plaintiff agreed under the express conditions. No, Cole asked Plaintiff to create a musical composition and sound recording. Okay, never mind. I misinterpreted that. Cole asked him. Plaintiff agreed under the express conditions that Plaintiff had control over the release of the composition and any sound recording embodying the composition, and that Cole agreed to collaborate on a future single. Okay, cool. In or about June 2022. So this is before the podcast talk. It was just a simple agreement of returning the favor with a song. In or about June 2022, Plaintiff contributed lyrics to the introduction and the second verse for the composition of Ready 24 during a recording session at Electric Lady Studios in New York City, which Cole was using for an ongoing project, of course, which turned out to be Might Delete Later. But this is 2 years or about a year and some change ahead of time. At the same time, Plaintiff and Cole also recorded the sound recording. Plaintiff never received compensation from Cole, nor did he convey in writing any rights in the sound recording to Cole or the other defendants. Please pardon these motherfuckers in the backyard, man. I always tell y'all, behind my backyard is a fucking apartment complex, and they always got some shit. Motherfucking alarms going off. Niggas just be, it be shit going on over there. Goddamn weed whacking, landscaping, arguments, the whole shit, man. In the fucking burbs. Anyway, plaintiff never received compensation, nor did he convey in writing any rights in the sound recording to Cole or the other defendants. All right. So Cam never received any money. Now, what we don't see here is what the agreed compensation could or should have been. Okay. Hopefully they get to that, because if you were expecting money, I would think that you had a fee, or did you just have not received any royalties from it? Okay. Nor did he convey in writing any rights. So y'all never signed a contract that would entitle Camron to ownership in the sound recording, which is the master. Okay. Plaintiff told Cole at the time of the recording session in or about June 2022 that he would not authorize the release of the sound recording or composition for Ready 24 until Cole performed on the future single with Plaintiff, and Cole agreed. Okay. So he said, yo, this song cannot come out until you do another one with me, nigga. And apparently Cole thought Cam was bullshitting. And we see today that he was not. All right. Cam out here like, man, I need all my motherfucking money, man. This nigga Dame out here trying to sue me. He trying to strong arm me. He trying to get me to do all type of shit. Man, fuck that shit, man. I got a revolt deal. Who gives a fuck? I need mine from Cole. That's a big album. Regardless of what you want to say about Cole, his raps or whatever, even with the 7-minute drill being taken off, it performed well because everybody listened to it for that diss that was removed. And Ready is actually one of the standouts. Cole was doing some very explosive rapping on that song, I gotta be honest. But unfortunately, Cole never made good on his promise to work on that single with Cam, which was supposed to have been completed before this song was allowed to come out. Now, in September of 2022, Plaintiff asked Cole if he would agree to perform on one of 2 songs that Plaintiff had previously recorded. So now we get Cam, and he actually came to Cole with some songs. He said, yo, let me get a 16. Let me get a 32. You out here killing all the rappers. Come kill me on my shit, man. Let me get some streams. Cole told Plaintiff that he preferred to collaborate with Plaintiff on a song that the two created together as opposed to a song that was previously recorded. However, the collaboration never materialized despite due requests by Plaintiff. So Cole said, man, I don't want to just jump on your stuff, man. Pause. Let's create something from scratch. Let's get in the studio and ideate. Let's create something for the cross generations. The thing is, Cam ain't had no problem getting on your pre-recorded shit. Cam ain't had no problem clearing a sample for your ass. He ain't had no problem coming through. So I gotta say, Cole, you dead ass wrong, brother. I don't give a fuck how much you been in hiding. You dead wrong. In July 2023, Plaintiff again reached out to Cole. He been reaching out to your ass for 2 years now. Reached out to Cole about appearing on Plaintiff's podcast. He said, shit, man, come on the pod, baby. Fuck the song. Instead of collaborating on a future song, he was willing to swap out the song collaboration, which probably would have been very profitable. But he said, come on the podcast. This is my new venture. This will help me jump this off even harder. Cole informed Plaintiff that he was releasing an album containing Ready 24 and would agree to appear on the podcast at a later date. So he said, hey man, I'm working on my album. The song is going to be on there. It'll be a perfect time for me to come up there to your podcast. But we all see what happened when the album dropped. That was also when Cole's morale dropped. Because we said, man, that 7-minute drill ain't what it is. Within that weekend, he was on stage apologizing, and we ain't really heard too much from him since. He's dropped a couple feature verses, dropped a couple singles, I guess you could say Lucy's, but we ain't seen him outside, really. He ain't been doing too much. We seen him at the beach. We seen him in the mountains. We seen him on a bike. But he ain't engaged with nobody since then. So, effectively, that podcast interview was no more in Cole's eyes. Cam said, I don't give a fuck what you're going through. We got an agreement. Between July 2023 and April 2024, Plaintiff and Cole continued to communicate. They stayed in communication up until April of 2024 when the album dropped. But again, we know how that run of events turned out. But Cole repeatedly stated he was unable to appear on the podcast. Oh, you getting cold feet. In April 2024, defendants released the sound recording of Ready 24, which embodied the composition on Cole's album, Might Delete Later. On June 13th, 2024, Warner Chappell Music applied to the United States Copyright Office for the composition of Ready 24 under registration number Blase Blah. Plaintiff is identified as a co-author. And Warner Chappell is a publishing company, one of the big ones. So he's getting publishing off of this. However, the sound recording is not registered, which I feel is very strange. The sound recording typically, especially for a major release, would typically be registered. Even in the Like That lawsuit, remember we talked about that extensively for a bit. The sound recording was registered with the Copyright Office, and it had Kendrick, Metro, Future, you know what I mean? But unfortunately, Everlasting Bass, Rodney O's name wasn't listed in the copyright, even though his song was sampled. And of course, that's been an ongoing thing about whether or not it's owned by Rodney O or Isaac Hayes? Plaintiff has not been paid any royalties from the exploitation of the composition or sound recording, which I find to be interesting. How Camron hasn't been paid for the composition. That project came out April of 2024. That should have shown up in his Q2 or Q3 royalties, which have been dispersed this year, because I get those checks as well. Of course, I'm not on that album, but he should have got that. And of course, for the sound recording, if Cam would have been included in that, he would have been paid off of the sales and streams of the song. But of course, for whatever reason, the song was never even registered, so he was never needed to be included in the royalty payments. So Camron says, upon information and belief, plaintiff is owed at least $500,000 from the exploitation of the composition and sound recording, and that's probably being a little lenient. When you look at what the album generated for itself, I would sue for the entire album, because you're not finna fuck me. First cause of action, declaratory, judgment as to the sound recording. Plaintiff repeats and realleges the allegations contained in paragraphs 1 through 35 above, as if fully set forth herein. Plaintiff contends that he is a co-author of the sound recording, which he wrote on the record, and it's one of his songs being sampled. Of course, there's another group of people that need to be paid off that sample, which J. Cole may have gone around, which also will be fucked up because of your agreement. By reason of the foregoing, there is a justiciable controversy between plaintiff and defendant concerning the ownership of the sound recording. Plaintiff is entitled to a declaration that he is a co-author of the sound recording. Plaintiff has no adequate remedy at law. Second cause of action. Plaintiff repeats and realleges the allegations contained in paragraphs 1 through 40. Upon information and belief, defendants have received monies from the exploitation of the composition and sound recording embodying the composition of Ready 24 and have failed to properly account to plaintiff or pay royalties to plaintiff for the composition and or sound recording. And just to be clear, when I say Q2 or Q3 royalties, you get paid royalties retroactively. So typically, if you drop something in 2024, you're not going to get your publishing royalties until 2025. Now, if you're a ASCAP writer, you may get yours a little bit sooner than a BMI writer, but that's neither here nor there. Upon information and belief, defendants have received monies. And of course, we know off of the exploitation of the composition and sound recording and have failed to properly account to plaintiff or pay royalties. Plaintiff is entitled to an accounting of all monies received by defendants from the exploitation of the composition and sound recording. Plaintiff has no remedy at law. Wherefore, plaintiff demands judgment against defendant as follows. On the first cause of action, an order declaring plaintiff a co-author of the sound recording, meaning he wants this sound recording registration to be remedied, and he wants to be named as a co-author in the registration, because he says as of now it still isn't up. On the second cause of action, an order directing defendants to perform an accounting of all monies received from exploitation of the composition and sound recording embodying the composition of Ready 24 and to pay over plaintiff's proportionate share of such monies, which would be his share, which was agreed to, which we don't know. Maybe I could look it up. Hold up, let me see. So here we are, and we get to at least see, we don't get to see percentage splits, but we do get to see the split, I mean, not the splits, but the writers and composers on Ready 24. All right, just to give y'all, Ready 24 is in the corner here. Well, you might not see it depending on how this page is structured. Give me a second. Here we go. Ready 24. Jermaine Cole, Abdul Aziz Ding, Cameron Giles. He is listed, so I don't understand how he's not getting his publishing monies if he's registered. Because BMI pays that directly. They're not going to give J. Cole his money and say, send Cam a check. That's not how publishing works. So I'm very curious to know why Cam hasn't at least gotten publishing money. Because we have Camron Giles, and on the pub side, because you get paid on two sides. You got your writers and the pub. We got Killer Cam Music in here too. So all of this was already handled. You got the Heat Makers in here who produced the original song. Like, everybody's cut in. I would even imagine the original sample that Cam and them flipped is in here too. Performers, Camron, J. Cole, and Camron. So, I don't know. I'm not going to say Cam is lying about the publishing side, but I'm very curious to know why his payment wasn't cleared, because it's been properly registered. Unless somebody gave the wrong, unless somebody gave incorrect information as it pertains to their name, because that could be a holdup as well. All that being stated, Cam claims he ain't getting none of the money off the composition. All right. And he wants his proportionate share, and he wants to see an accounting of how much money that song has generated so he can get his cut. They also want awarding plaintiff attorney's fees and the cost of this action. So he wants his attorney's fees to be paid for having to file this and taking time and putting money up to pay his lawyer, awarding plaintiff such and other further relief as the court deems equitable and proper. So I'm sure there's going to be some level of interest applied in this situation as well, as the song has been out for well over a year, coming up on 2 years next April. And this, my friends, is why it is not the best business move to move forward with a handshake agreement, because clearly they had an agreement. They talked about the agreement multiple times, and it was never published on paper. It was never signed and sealed. Therefore, J. Cole never upheld his end of the bargain. Camron came through twice. Gave Cole 2 appearances, which
I must say, especially on the first one, on the off season, there was the element of surprise. Like, oh shit, he got Camron to do his intro. Shit. Dipset fans had to tune in just off that. Then you run it back and you sample a classic Dipset record and you got Cam on it. That also ups your cultural cachet. You're tapping into a fan base of hip hop purists and people who may not even listen to J. Cole, but they like, shit, Cam is on there. Let me fuck with it. And y'all know I'm a big J. Cole fan. But I gotta be honest, you ain't doing your shit right, man. And this is only gonna make people look at you even more sideways, because they already been looking at your ass sideways for the last year. This ain't gonna help it, because they're gonna be like, damn, you jumped in the battle, seemed like you was gonna be taken up for Drake. You dropped that other fucking record where people have mixed feelings about you, basically trying to claim your allegiance to both Drake and Kendrick at the same time, which people still feel like, nigga, if you fucking with Drake at all, you're an op. They say you wrote the nigga a love letter. And then you're not paying Cam when you promised that you would, and you wasn't even supposed to put the song out without his clearance ahead of time. And he still decided to work with you and say, yo, just come on my podcast. Never did that. That ain't it, man. And that's definitely not how, there's a lot of great stories out there about J. Cole. There's a lot of people out there that say how J. Cole is like a mentor, a big brother, a source of inspiration, a source of, voice of reason in certain things in their lives. But you got to get this shit right. You got to get this shit right, Cole. That's all I'm going to say. Let me know what y'all think of this shit down below in the comments. Be sure to like and share this video. If this is your first time seeing me on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, become an insider. I'm going to catch y'all on the next one, man. Peace.
Yeah, family over fame in this bitch, yeah. The glory of living righteous is setting in. My street knowledge and education's a perfect blend. Young mogul, independent, I've been setting trends. The first one from my family to be faithfully wed. Fuck niggas and the horses that they riding on. I see this shit from all angles like a polygon. I'm never politicking, the drama be piling on. Father and greats unacknowledged like I'm Bobby Bonds. Conversation with my lady about the paper route. 5 sit bank accounts, every day I make it count. They down talking my commentary for hating now. Well, I can take it cause I'm bodying your favorite now, please. I can do this shit in my sleep. I been writing for these niggas, y'all read it and weep. I been fighting these niggas if you speak on the street. I'll turn your birthday party into New Year's Eve. Don't let me take it there. We ain't playing fair. This the ATL, Southside nigga moving furniture like Wayfair. Life on hold, no insurance for your healthcare. Lifeline gone, so you wanna be a millionaire? Well, let me tell you about this world I built. The women I dodged, the niggas that I ran for filth. The sympathy calls, consulting for the stacks I built. I had